Welcome back. Today we join a restoration expert as he tackles a piece of culinary history buried under decades of severe oxidation. This vintage waffle iron is completely seized, its exterior crust, hiding what remains of the original metal casing. The first challenge is simply breaking the rusted seal on the central retaining knob. Rust expands as it forms, locking threaded fasteners with immense pressure. Pliers and patience are required to carefully break that bond without snapping the fragile 80-year-old threaded post underneath. Once inside, the extent of the damage is clear. Years of trapped moisture have heavily oxidized the internal metal cavity. The electrical components are carefully evaluated. Ceramic terminal blocks are highly resistant to heat, but the constant thermal cycling can cause their mounting hardware to become brittle and seize. Every connection must be meticulously documented before the wiring harness is removed. He extracts the inner cooking plates, which are coated in thick layers of polymerized grease and carbon scoring. The wires are temporarily tucked away to protect them during the heavy cleaning phases ahead. Separating the lid from the base is the final step in the teardown, leaving the raw components ready for deep restoration. Moving to the blast cabinet, high-pressure abrasives strip away the dark oxidation. This process forcefully removes the hardened crust without warping the underlying steel. With the heavy rust gone, the focus shifts to refining the bare metal. Steel wool pads are used to carefully cut through the remaining dullness along the inner rims. A blast of high-temperature steam neutralizes the cleaning agents and blasts debris out of microscopic pores. The heat causes the metal to flash dry instantly. Smaller plastic components are scrubbed gently to avoid deep scratches. Reassembly of the hinge mechanisms requires tapping in fresh metal pins. The restored cooking surface emerges clean and perfectly intact. The structural integrity of the cooking plates is verified. A final wipe down prepares the raw iron for its new protective finish. Rough edges on the metal discs are smoothed down on the grinding wheel. Proper edge finishing is crucial to ensure the outer casing fits flush during final assembly. Thermal gaskets are aligned to isolate the base from the intense heat of the core. New plastic feet are secured, providing stability and preventing damage to modern countertops. Residual glue is mechanically scraped from the small plastic components before bonding. A two-part epoxy is mixed to create a permanent, high-strength adhesive. The chemical reaction between the resin and hardener provides a structural bond that can withstand the ambient heat radiating from the iron's casing. The pieces are held firmly in place while the adhesive begins to cure. The exterior metal rings are brought to the buffing wheel. The friction of the high-speed cotton wheel melts the polishing compound into a microscopic glaze, flattening out any remaining surface imperfections. A final wipe with a clean cloth removes the residual compound, revealing a deep, mirror-like finish. With the aesthetic restoration complete, the internal mechanical rebuild begins. The original hardware is sorted and inspected for damaged threads. A small metal bracket is secured inside the housing to support the electrical framework. He installs the white ceramic blocks, which will act as thermal insulators for the main power lines. Washers and threaded studs are locked into place to ensure the heating assembly remains completely rigid when the iron is handled. Old, frayed wiring is a severe fire hazard in vintage appliances. He cuts fresh, heat-resistant cables and strips the ends to expose clean copper. A crimping tool forcefully compresses the metal terminals, creating a mechanical and electrical bond that will not vibrate loose over time. High-temperature fiberglass sleeving is slid over the connections for additional insulation. Meanwhile, the original heating element is gently scrubbed in a solvent bath and the tension springs are carefully resurfaced on the grinder to restore their flexibility. The remaining small hardware is coated in a specialized, heat-resistant black paint, rated to withstand temperatures up to 700 degrees Celsius. Final assembly requires meticulous wire routing. The restored black plastic handles are firmly screwed into the edge of the circular metal pan. He then threads the newly insulated red wires through a small opening in the rim. Proper wire management is critical in heating appliances, ensuring no electrical lines can shift and make contact with the hot external casing during operation. The heating element base is locked down over the central threaded stud. He anchors the red wires into the ceramic terminal block, torquing the screws down to ensure maximum electrical contact. Loose connections generate excess electrical resistance, which creates unwanted heat at the terminal. With the wiring secure, the polished metal cover is pressed flush onto the base, sealing the electrical components safely inside. The intricate floral patterns on the cooking plates are perfectly aligned before the final housing screws are driven in. He carefully tucks the remaining slack in the wiring harness and locks the internal assembly onto the central mounting post. Before the iron is ever plugged into a wall, a digital multimeter is used to test electrical continuity. This vital safety check ensures the circuit is complete and that no live voltage is leaking into the metal chassis. The white plastic feet are pressed into their slots, lifting the heavy iron off the countertop. A final wipe down of the cooking surface removes any lingering dust from the workshop, preparing the iron for its true purpose. What began as a rusted, seized block of scrap is a functional machine once again. The heavy cast iron distributes heat flawlessly, proving the enduring value of mid-century engineering. Every meticulously cleaned surface and fresh wire ensures its reliability. Some things are simply built to last.